Where the fuck is Mitch? Sorry, I mean, where is Mitch?
The main star is still missing.
He's always missing in action. He's over here playing mad scientist at home, I bet. What kind of scientist was he? Does anybody know?
No sé cómo explicarlo. O sea, dijo qué tipo de científico es. Y estaba tratando con cosas patógenas.
Anthrax.
Claro, con Anthrax, por ejemplo.
Hablando de Anthrax.
He's an anthrax scientist. Anthrax scientist.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that's no good, Mitch. Come on, Mitch. Don't be an anthrax scientist.
He was the first that released Anthrax in Europe.
Now he's new.
God, I get accused of everything, don't I?
So actually, Mitch, I have a question for you. So you're probably like an anthrax insider then, if you really are an anthrax scientist. So my question is, I don't know the guy's name, but like that scientist that the U.S. government tried to pin the anthrax leak on many years ago. Did you ever look into that story and follow that story? Because I know I've read somewhere that that exact strain of anthrax apparently really was only limited to that one lab, and it was scientifically impossible for that one guy to actually synthesize it on his own. So it had to have been taken from that lab, and it was impossible for him to have done so.
So anthrax. Just microbiology 101 is that any bacteria, any individual bacteria will have genomic differences. So if you've got Bacillus anthracis, if you've got anthrax, any anthrax you get from the soil, down the road or in New South Wales or whatever, they'll always have minor changes because bacteria or cells are constantly mutating. And so it is possible it's very much possible to note that there's a single strain from a single place. And anthrax itself is just a soil bacteria. It's just not it's a bacillus. There's a lot of cows die from from anthrax spores in soil. They get anthrax. There's anthraxes known in the cattle industry, for example, because it's in the soil, and so it's very possible to work out where any strain came from. But anthrax itself isn't a super rare bacteria. The reason I started working with it is I accidentally isolated it doing other work, and then we're like, oh, well, we have anthrax now. We might as well just do some work on it. And then the government shut me down. But yeah, so to go back to the start of your question, I haven't looked into a specific story, but it is very possible scientifically to know that someone took a strain of bacteria from a very specific place.
Yeah,
I can't talk on the conspiracy side of things. I don't know any of this. I can only talk on the science. So all I can tell you,
long and short, there were 3 different people that ended up taking blame for it, one way or the other. They were all found to be innocent, in the long run, but all 3 individuals, terrible things happened to their lives because they were publicly accused of being the ones that had leaked this deadly anthrax or whatever. And
with the right equipment, I didn't have any of my original samples, but with the right equipment, I could isolate and grow up anthrax in probably a week if I had the right equipment. Just go out there and acquire some. Henry, come on inside, buddy. Anthrax itself isn't actually it is very, very deadly, but it's not. It's very specific. To infect people, you need the spores. So
you're in
it's not like a virus or anything. It's very specific, and it's not.
You're in Australia, right?
Yeah.
So, just for context, everything around you is deadly. So, of course, you're going to be oh, anthrax ain't that bad, But you have spiders that are the size of my face. And
but those are things you can see. As with COVID, for example, the best type of, worldwide disease is something that isn't too deadly, but but it's very easily spread. And anthrax is like you can't spread it from person to person. It'll kill you. And some people have died from like cows that do get infected with anthrax. They as they dry out and die. There's been farmers that have been known to breathe in the spores. Like treating the skins and stuff and died. But anthrax is very safe. It's the same with the SARS virus back in whatever year it was, 2010. The reason that was also a coronavirus, but the reason SARS was shut down as quick as it was is that every single person who was infected had symptoms. And if every single person who's infected has symptoms, it's really easy to stop a disease from spreading because you just isolate those people. And the reason COVID was so bad is because not everyone showed symptoms, and that's what made it such a perfect, in a bad way, a perfect virus for causing a pandemic.
Yeah, and that's like the same thing with like the whole monkeypox. Like, it takes a long, prolonged like contact with somebody that has it to even get it to begin with. So the spread's not even going to happen that quickly. And then furthermore, I'm pretty sure the contagion part actually doesn't even start until you're showing symptoms. So like you usually have a rash and stuff like that before you can even infect somebody. Which surely that's pretty easy to stop that then. Just don't let those people touch anybody.
Yeah, I agree, but the problem is with some see the science behind some of these things is easy, but it's the human psychology behind some things that's hard. In theory, if you could get every single person in the world to just all stay at home for 14 days, at once, you could just get rid of a virus. So if it was just purely science, but it's not. It's the monkeypox, for example, is it an STI now? Have they defined that as an STI? I haven't really kept up with it.
I believe so.
Yeah, so it's like saying to an 18-year-old who's got a bit of a monkeypox rash, you can't go and have relations, and he's like, I'll do what I want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's kind of that's the especially I said 18 because especially when the age where hormones are like higher, and they're I know I shouldn't, but whatever, YOLO. As bad as it sounds, that's there's population statisticians, and that's the biggest headache for them is that unpredictable social behaviors that they have to kind of like take into account when looking at viruses spreading and things like that.
Yeah. All right. So everybody joined us to at least talk, somewhat project related stuff. So let's
sorry, you talk science, I'll start talking all day because that was my career for most of my adult life. So.
Oh, I mean, I can honestly just sit here and we could just talk science all night. I don't mind it at all. Let's go over at least the base stuff real quick from my side of things. NBC, we are currently just still like dredging through VR development. Guile is back in town now. If everybody remembers, last week during an AMA, I talked about him going on vacation. He got back yesterday. We have an official meeting actually like at 10 o'clock. So I have to shut this off no matter what at 10. And I'll be meeting with him and Metaverse Josh to go over our next stage plans for like our design features and stuff like that. And we'll have some like pretty major updates to show throughout this next week. But that's kind of just where we're kind of stuck in. And then as far as like partnership announcements and stuff like that, I'll hold off on making those until Monday. One thing I do want to touch base on is this volume wars. Just because of what the logistics of it are right now, I think we have a chance to do a little something this season. So I'm going to kind of push.
Sorry, could you explain what volume wars are? Someone said that to me a few hours ago, and I don't keep up with that side of things. I'm assuming my guys don't know what that is.
Yeah. So the basis of volume wars is that you are buying against your chart through their DApp in order to inflict damage like towards one another's projects in a hopes that you win the contest for the entire thing. That rewards your community with added rewards. They actually earn money, as well as gives the project a chance for like a larger buy and burn. It's just a game that essentially a project is created. It obviously does generate the money. So whenever you like do your attack through their DApp, they're collecting a fee on that, and they collect fees on every single little transaction that takes place, and like that's how that project affords to continue and do its thing. There's some NFT features that are built into the project as well, and like uh I'm a dummy here. I should know a little bit more, but I think they essentially are granted or you have to buy them from attacks or something like that. You have to do a certain amount of attacks and you're given NFTs, and then you can trade those NFTs for better ones that are worth certain things within like the game ecosystem. But it all comes from like participation. So the basis of it is essentially from the project's perspective. Like if you got a listing with Volume Wars and you decide to participate, is you gather your community and you get them to strategically battle other projects for rankings within any given season. Right now, the seasons are going on for 1 week. Um, I expect listings to ramp up quite a bit over the next like 2 weeks. The players behind the project are currently anonymous, but like they're fairly well known behind the scenes. Like guys, they're pretty well connected, so they're quickly growing their user base. So it's just an interesting thing that we're trying out. Reflex just listed. I know a couple other projects that are fairly large that are going to be listing. And of course, Nobility's listed. They're not participating in every season, but I know they're going to be participating in some more seasons coming up.
So, do you explain the part where you hurt each other's chart?
You're not hurting each
Sorry,
other's chart. You're
yeah.
hurting like it's so. If you go to like volumewars.app, it's just like their DApp. So they have this
Okay.
DApp thing that they've created that allows you to
Let's have a look.
yeah, let's have a look. They have a DApp that essentially gives you points, and right now we're ranked number 2. So we've received 5,603 damage this season so far. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see a couple of projects. Like I can see your icon there. I can see there's that glow there and reflex and some unknown ones I don't know. So yeah, I'll have to look into this. I'm trying to get my head around it a little bit. It's just
It's
there you
actually kind of hard to get your head around. It's taken me like multiple like dig into it just to figure out exactly what's going on. But the real basis of it is that your community is coming together and you're purchasing attacks to damage other people's stuff. And when you do that, the more you do that, the better chance that you get of getting additional buys against your chart.
Yeah, okay. I think that makes sense now. So basically, the money gets pooled, and then does that get distributed as buys then at the end of the season?
Yeah, correct.
Okay, yeah.
Correct.
Does that when that buy takes place, does the person if I did an attack, do I end up getting the token after the buy, or would it PvP?
So the way that this works, just like to give you like a real technical breakdown, the fee that is broken down for each attack is 50% of the BNB that is spent on the attack towards the team is is used to buy and burn the attacking team's token. So I sign up people for MBC's team. We've got a team together. We pull our BNB together, and then we make attacks. And whenever we make these attacks, half of that BNB is immediately actually used to buy and burn our token, and the other half of the BNB is like goes to 25% of it goes to the legendary NFT reward pool. to be distributed at the beginning of the next season. These rewards are divided between the currently staked legendary NFTs. Blah blah blah. You have to, and like the only way you get these NFTs is from attacking. 15% of the BNB from each attack is collected into a reward pool for the winning team. So the actual team that wins gets 15% of all the BNB that was used for all the attacks from all the teams. And let me see. These funds is to be determined by the project developers. So like one of the following will apply. They can buy and burn the tokens of the winning team, or they can add liquidity to the tokens LP. And then burning LP tokens.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. No, that makes sense. So it's I actually don't mind the concept in terms of like getting some of that some market stimulation.
Yeah, and then they get 10%. The platform gets 10% of everything. Which is hefty, but it's a cool concept, and I like how ambitious they are. And I think it'll have hype for a little bit, but of course, it's not something that like I don't think it'll just continue to last and do well for a while. But as long as like new projects are listing and they get involved for a season or two, it's something that's pre-built, that's community engaging, that can help drive volume. And like, especially if you can get a couple like competitive teams together, like you guys yourselves, y'all are pretty highly competitive. So if you could imagine having like you guys, DFS Mafia, Glow, and us, if we were all battling together against some other teams, we could probably take down just about anybody.
Yeah. No. I guess if it was, do you think this would exist in its state if there was a bull market at the moment? Like, it feels like this is a place like, because it's a bear market and volumes are down and things like that, it's kind of good for projects in that like kind of little bubble. But, if projects that are zooming and turning over tons of volume wouldn't be focusing on something like this, would you?
No, not at all. No, yeah. If you had your own volume rolling and going, then there'd be no reason. The only reason why we did it is because so there's currently 2 projects that are launching this month that will both be individual volume drivers for MBC, and then like a third one following the next month. Both the projects this month will both like pay reflections in MBC, so they'll just be doing constant little buys on the chart. And this is just something to like help kind of bridge and add to that. I'm hoping that like I can stack quite a few, because I've never introduced like real volume drivers, and like because of networking and project partnerships, I've been able to like create a few. Therefore, I'm hoping that like I can stack like 3 or 4 of these things all back to back, and then just like really have a nice upward trend on a chart for like a month or two, even in this bear market. And I do think that this bear market's going to stick around for a little while. Like,
Yeah, I don't think we've hit rock bottom yet, to be honest.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah, it's a shame because I love the idea of the the September, October, November, December build up, but I just don't think it's coming this year. but that's life. That's what that's. I think it's people like yourself, and I like to think myself a little bit too. Imagination and innovation kind of come into play, and I think projects that don't have teams that have any innovation. Excuse me, sorry. They're kind of screwed because they just have to wait it out. But there's always ways to increase your project. If you think outside the box like you do quite a lot.
Well, and it's all about staying relevant and staying on task, and just continue to work on what you've got going on, but at the same time also make yourself like aware to that outside community at all times. It's tough. It's a lot of work, it's a 24/7 job. Especially whenever like the market gets, because when obviously it's a snowball effect. The market gets down and then people get quiet because like everybody gets sad. And like this is real life, like this is like, because like a lot of these retail investors, like that's like their savings, that's what they were hoping like whenever they got in the market last year was going to change their life forever.
Yep.
They rode the market down, and now the market's in a bearish, place. So sentiment across the board is like honestly just truthfully like depressing. Everybody, is in the we're all going to make it, mindset, and I appreciate that, and everybody's good, and I'm always, happy go lucky about it. But the truth behind the matter is like you get in a bear market like this, communities get quiet. YouTubers get less views, crypto space in general. You see less projects start to launch. You see less hype around anything, and everything just gets kind of solemn. And it's a strange place to be in. It's not my first time being in this place, so I'm used to it. But it's interesting, nevertheless, to take notice of it while it's going on, and to take the opportunity to just work on what needs to get done behind the scenes. So whenever things do cheer back up, you're ready for it.
Yeah, I mean, so we're in obviously a different position because we haven't, we're still, the beta's coming out in the next 2 weeks, I think it is, and then spoiler alert there, but we're still, we're in the pre-launch phase, and so I mean, we could ride this out forever, but at the same time, investors don't. Yeah, it's a fine balance between holding out until the market's as hot as it's going to be versus investor expectation. And my community's been amazing, but they as far as I'm aware, they have no issue with waiting until the perfect time. But it is kind of hard to like building a new community, and where there'd usually be full hype. There's a lot of people wake up the next day and they've lost 30% on their portfolios, and it's like, how do you console those people? Generally speaking, not from the project point of view, but it is hard with like people who see their portfolios drop. I think I looked at the other day, it's 58% BNBs down since the start of the year. That hurts people, and it does slow everything down. But we're in a unique position because like we haven't launched, so it's kind of there's hype, but it's cautiously optimistic hype for people.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yes.
Now I'm trying to pull it. I did it the other day. The price of BNB the day we launched.
Oh yeah, because you guys launched just before that date I told you. Now I think it's about 58% when I looked at the other day. Because you guys launched it around New Year's Eve, didn't you?
We launched on December 19th. It was like
Okay.
one of the last higher days. No wonder I typed it in on Google and it was showing me the price of Airbnb. It was showing me the stock value of Airbnb. I was like, what is this? This can't be right. I hate my life right now because now I can't find it. I can, but it's gonna take me a moment. Anyways, it doesn't really matter. I looked at it the other day. I remember it was under 600, but it was just under. It was like 580 or something like that. Was like the price of BNB whenever we launched.
How do you see the space post bear market? Like, how do you see the top 10 tokens? How do you see the space as a whole changing, or do you think all the coins are going to go back up the same way, or what do you see the future of cryptocurrency to be?
So I'm excited to see a couple of things play out. If like in theory, if projects can just stick it out and stay around through this lull, and we do come out the other side with like another bull run, then it'll be really, really cool to see projects that have been around for a long time, like, a long time at that point, like SafeMoon and a couple others that were large caps and kind of rode like a large cap, large volume wave for a while, that are hyper deflationary, just because like through this entire consolidation period, more than likely, like if there was another big run on any of those projects, you would end up having like a lot of like bottom feeder whales, so to speak. Sorry, guys. There must be like a huge fire somewhere. Anyways, you'd have like a lot of like large bottom feeder whales that you would assume like would dump out on the projects. That's kind of like one of my macro observations that I've been paying attention to on some of those larger cap projects that have been around for a while. But because of some of my attachments to some of the larger projects in the space, I know a lot of actual blockchain development is happening right now within like even our small sector. So like you'll soon, within the next like 3 months, you'll end up seeing probably like 4 or 5 blockchains spring up all around us. It's like definitely a hot topic right now, which is interesting because it seemed to be like once full like bear market mode hit, all of a sudden you had like people with like a little bit deeper pockets kind of like throw their hands up real quick and say, hey, well, let's go ahead and then push out this now. And like, they're talking about their big ticket items, blockchain development, spending $200, $300, $400,000 on agency development just to get like solid services off the ground. And that's going to be interesting. So I expect to see a lot of improvement. I apologize. Give me 1 second. I gotta check on something at the front door.
And I realized that so I apologize if you heard me dying, but I think I'm in charge. Okay, go to your room, go home.
I'm on a call. Sorry. I'm on a call. Fine.
Meta.
What? Woman? Sorry.
That's I'm trying to fix my sound. I realized I was breathing. I was having asthma problems before, so my breathing was coming through. So I'm just trying to fix that at the second. Anyway, are you back now?
Yeah, I'm back.
I sent you about 15 minutes ago the link to the latest demo. If you want to do this, the honors of the screen share.
Oh, there it is. Sorry. Give me 1 moment. Let me close out all my porn.
Yeah, fair. I'm not making a joke back there. I'm just completely backing off on that one.
No, I'm just joking. I'm trying to. There we go. Yeah. Crazy. Well, it actually let me do that. Okay. There we go.
Cool.
I should not let people know what I'm working on though, but oh well.
Yeah, I thought you were going to take a couple of minutes then to fix that. Yeah. So just in the bottom right, if you maximize it, you can hide your screen anyway.
I don't want to hear you. Sorry, you're good. I'm just joking. I'm gonna stop that one, and then fix this. I should honestly just stop working on so much stuff. That's what it really boils down to.
Do you have a designated time where you have in a given week where you just take some time off, or you just full on like me? I think you're full on like me.
Yeah, I'm just full on. See, like the thing is, it all shifts so often, and like from day to day that you don't know exactly what you're going to be battling and dealing with. So, yeah, there's some days that I plan on taking time that I just never get around to it. But on the flip side of that, there's days like today where everything just seemed to have gone fairly slow. So once things started going pretty slow, I just kind of like not necessarily turn my phone off, but just kind of like turned all notifications off for a couple hours and chilled. It sucks though, because whenever you've got so much going on, truthfully, like all those moments that you do that, something is suffering. Like in my case, I should have been working on something for Atlas keys. Am I supposed to connect to MetaMask now?
No. This is just the UX UI thing. Have you got sound enabled?
Yeah, but it's coming through my.
Oh no,
What's it?
I can hear it. I think.
You can't hear anything?
I can hear it just very softly. Is there a way?
So wild that you can hear it.
So if you can turn the music up for a sec, though, I'm just curious if you got. Yeah, we can hear that fine. Well, not fine, but so turn the music off, and then put the sound effects up because sound effects are a new thing for this version. Yep, sweet.
Cool. So you can hear the birds and stuff.
No, it's too soft. This is how can we sort of hear you but not hear it? Where's the sound source coming from?
Right now it's playing to my ears because I'm wearing headphones because I'm a baller. But
But yeah, is it not picking up on the?
It should be. I mean, it should just be picking it through my like video card, though. Is what I would assume.
Yeah, it's odd, isn't it? I mean, I can share it if we need to, but I really want to see that photo in the top right corner.
So I can hear this really well.
We can hear the music a little bit. Well, I can hear the music a little bit.
We can hear it.
We can hear it loud.
Oh, you guys can hear it. Okay. So it's a me problem.
Dude, that's depressing. Whenever you find out that it's just you.
Yeah, I know, right?
All right. So what do you want me to do? We want to check out the actual village.
Yeah, this is a smaller update. Next week's the big one. We have the tutorial, but as you can see now, we have maximized it in the bottom right corner. Yep.
Tell me what to do.
Yeah. Just have a look at around. You can hear a lot more. We got sound effects that are kind of the spatial sound effects now too. This is probably the last visual update. We're focusing on the bigger stuff. Like we've got the tutorial coming next week, which basically means that when a new user starts, it'll say welcome to Crypto Villages. Click here for this. Click here for this. One of those one-time interactive tutorials. And we've got the day-night cycle. Synced the proper way now, as you can see the sun's rising, and then the lights will come off at a certain time, and that kind of forms the basis of the village. We're going to be focusing on PVM and PvP, and as you just saw there, the lights got turned off then, and yeah, that's kind of what we've been doing. Obviously, we've finally got the sound effects and volume set up. I asked the guys 4 times, and every time I gave an AMA, I had to mute it or yell over it. So it's kind of cool now.
So he is solo battling himself.
Yeah,
are these two going to run into each other and develop a love interest?
Well, apparently she just walked through the fountain. We're going to fix that, but well, no, it's funny you say that because we are doing we're going to be doing like daily village quests. Like at nighttime, there'll be a thief running around that you have to catch. If you click him once per day, you get some rewards. We're looking at doing a break the safe type thing where every day there's a 4-digit code you've got to enter to open the safe, and you can find that like those numbers on socials, that type of thing, just to get people engaged in different aspects of the game and get people in regularly. I mean, people who will be playing the game anyway to earn money will be doing that through feeding and other activities, but just things to make it a little bit more fun between those waiting periods where you're waiting to feed and things like that. And I don't know, did you read that document I showed you for the PvP one? I don't know if I sent it directly to you. I put it in one of our other channels, but
no, I didn't read it.
I mean, this is something you'll be interested in.
You just send me the audiobook version.
Yeah, no, basically, when you get a spare minute, we've done the framework for PvP now, and we've done the framework for PVM, and we're just going we knew roughly the whole time, but this is something we can put into our white paper now.
What do these buttons mean to me? Are these different upgrades?
No, they're different buildings. Like you can own multiple buildings. So eventually, after launch, we're going to have it, where you can click and drag and put your own buildings on the grid. But for now, to get launch going, we if you own 10 barracks or 1 barracks, it is in the same spot for now, and it shows you the most upgraded version of that building you have. And if you don't own the building for stakeholder buildings, there's trees there. But if you don't own the other ones, you'll see like under construction where you can click on it and learn more information about it. And it's kind of a way to tease, players who might have 5 out of 6 of the base buildings, then seeing one under construction might be like, this is annoying me. I want to get this one too. So, but yeah, we've got that little food vendor thing as an example. That little icon above it. Those icons won't be in the zoomed in version, but we're doing a zoom in, zoom out function. And when you zoom out, that's when those icons will appear. So for the zoom in function, if people want to look around, they can do that. But if they, zoomed in and going to building is a bit of a pain in the butt. So we have a zoom out function that's just going to show you the entire map, so you can click everything in one hit. And this kind of forms the basis of the click to earn aspect, where people can feed, and upgrade their buildings. And then it's the other mini games that we have that form that fun factor and that excitement factor type thing. So that way we can accommodate for people who just want to click to earn, and we can also accommodate for people who really want to play and get into the game and really absorb themselves in the community to kind of get that broader marketplace.
So this castle here, is
Yes.
this Bro's castle or your castle?
No, that is Solchi Dunga's castle.
Okay.
He's in the channel at the moment.
So is he going to be able to get his logo up here or right here somewhere? So
Yeah, well, that's what I was gonna speak to him about, because so when Solchi, when his community got the castle, it was actually the first one, so we didn't really think of custom castles. So because he's the castle number 1 at the moment, that's his one. But yeah, we're gonna I was gonna speak to him about changing and altering that to kind of match his community. So yeah, I think we've got, for example, we have one of the guys from the I don't know if he's in here at the moment. The Owners Unity group, they purchased one of the castles, and because when PvP comes, you can name like each PvP bracket.
Wait, Owners Unity, the mortgage people bought a castle?
Well, actually, a couple of them. Well, we got 2 castles left, I think, now.
Okay,
But
well, that makes sense, because I bet that's the only property they ever end up buying and owning. But
but yeah, so just to use that as an example would be, they're putting their logo on their castle, for example. So it's kind of like, there's opportunities, and when PvP comes out, they can name their PvP bracket, so they can call them, the Owners Unity PvP bracket. Or if it's like Solchi, for example, and he, didn't want to put his own name up there, he can. There might be a new game that he likes that he's, looking into and he's, collaborating with, and he might call it the Crypto Helicopters PvP bracket for that exposure type thing, because we're trying to incorporate as much subtle, sponsorship and commercialization without affecting the game. But obviously, bringing that type of stuff in is what's going to keep the game flourishing, because otherwise, you need that outside money and you need that intrinsic value to keep games like this from just building up and up and up. And so, yeah, that's kind of what the castles, there's a lot of little hidden things that the castles do that people don't realize, but that's why they're kind of getting scooped up so quick. But yeah, that's the latest update anyway. And for the guys who want,
it's a really good way to actually bridge the gap between those communities, especially if the castle is, looks like something that the community would own, and it's something that they'd get behind. If it's a cool design or, color scheme or whatever that really looks like it's theirs, then they feel that ownership and they are more happy to get involved with it. And those little small details like that are really important whenever you're trying to bridge those partnership opportunities.
Yeah, so each person who owns a castle gets jumps into a private chat with our 3D artist, and they kind of just say exactly what they want. And he's amazing. So I'll put a couple here. Ready? Check out your general chat. I don't want to spam your chat too much. Oh, that one's incorrectly rendered there.
It's okay. You can spam the chat all you want. They don't care.
Just trying to find the rendered version of that one. Oh, there it is. Much cleaner. So these all belong to community members. Yeah. So and they basically give their ideas as to what they want. I have to get that one, the bottom one, re-rendered. It's too bright. Too much light on it. Brightness. Ugh. But yeah, as you can see, they obviously get scaled accordingly. They fit exactly where the that first castle as you saw. But yeah, just and there's little quirks like that. The first one, the floating castle, that little bird is the Kansas City mascot, and the guy who owns this wanted that, and he wanted a floating castle with a portal.
I need
he wanted
this made.
You were sorry?
I said I need this made.
Need what made?
It's I shared my screen.
Gotcha.
Yeah, if you could just create that for me, I'd really appreciate it.
Well, that's I guarantee you, Marco, our artist, Marco can create anything. It's awesome. I did say to him, I said, don't put we wanted to make for PVM our first event to be a dragon that attacks the world. But now that there's one parked in a garage, like in that one of those castles, like a car parked in a garage, I have to kind of go back to the drawing board and think of a different first monster now. Yeah, so it's good. But yeah, so PVM is our next thing, and it's going to be a excuse me. PVM's it's like a monster will appear. There's 8 different monsters, and there's a storyline behind each of them, and we'll spawn one, and we'll give hints to when it's going to spawn, but there's no set time. And basically, if the entire community can work together and kill it in time, they'll get a bonus. It might be 10% increased doubloons for 24 hours. It might be 10% less upgrade costs or upkeep costs. And it's kind of like it's the idea behind it is to get people to work together to message and say, "Oi, the dragon's here now." Because, for example, the dragon might fly down for 15 minutes, fly back up for an hour, down for 15 minutes. Little things like that to kind of get community engagement and getting people working together. And so we're currently developing the backstory behind all those 8 monsters and what they're going to do. And it'll be little things like on Twitter it might say the ground is rumbling under you, which kind of indicates that in a few hours like a golem's going to come and try to destroy an obelisk or something like that. And it's kind of little things that get people staring at our socials, get people interacting, and rumors, and that hype mill for every monster that's going to spawn. A basic one might be like a dragon, but then we have Cerberus, which is a three-headed dog, which is going to be incredibly hard to kill, but possible. We're going to scale these every time, so they are possible to kill, so people aren't wasting their time. But if you kill the bigger ones, you might have to be very, very vigilant and working together and getting everyone on board. Then you'll get much bigger rewards.
I'm sharing my screen again. What's this training camp?
Let's have a look. 1 sec.
I looked at it a minute ago, and you started talking about attacking and stuff. I was like, okay, well.
I saw you look at that a second ago. That's just one of the standard buildings. So at the moment we have the premium buildings. So we have two. We have the playable buildings, the buildings you'll be using for PvP, PvM, etc. There's standard buildings and premium buildings, and premium buildings are only available before launch. There's only a limit to 2,000 of each of those. And after launch, there's standard buildings, which is the training camp's one of them. Which, if you go right on your screen, go right and then down a little bit.
No, is your Devin? Is your Devin house?
No, he's asleep. Let me see if I can wake him up.
No, you're fine. Just a note: whenever you go full screen, you should enable scroll. You should enable auto scroll.
So these demo links aren't actually meant for the public. We just
I'm
gave
sorry.
It to you. Yeah, no, that's okay. No, it's honestly we've gotten to the point where we're just like, it doesn't matter too much. But so it's not designed for the user. The user experience has not been taken into account when uploading the demo. It's purely for show purposes at the moment.
I do the same thing with mine. I can share you a link with mine, or actually I can't. I still have to do zip files.
I wanted to see you to show some of our guys your stuff, but when we first jumped in, you said you were holding back on that or something, so I thought I'd leave it be.
Yeah, we are. I mean, you can come hang out. We could do a VR AMA 1 week, next week at some point with our existing VR chat room that we created. But our actual Web3 lobby, we are kind of waiting before we're sharing that with everybody. But hopefully after tonight, we get everything ironed out. It'll just be a smooth process.
Remember, for a lot of my people, they haven't seen any of your stuff. So the stuff that you guys find as rudimentary now, our guys will probably be fascinated by. So I'd always love to have you show off the VR, some of the earlier VR stuff to our guys. I've had a couple of people ask about what you do and that type of thing, and it's I try to loosely explain it, but you're always welcome in our server to showcase your stuff.
We just build stuff. I don't know. It's just cool. We just cool. I don't know.
I build cool stuff. It's cool, you know. I get that.
It's weird because for us, it really is just something like that. We really want to see certain things come to life within like the actual VR space, and some of the only ways for certain aspects of it to come to life really does seem to be like through the blockchain itself. So we're just trying to have our part in that. It's complicated because we have to build a lot of really in-depth, complicated stuff just to show off what we really want to show off. If that makes sense.
Yeah, oh yes, it does. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It's cool. It costs a lot of money, but it's one of those things that we love doing it. So we're gonna keep doing it, and we're getting to like a really close major milestone in the product development because we're going to be able to actually showcase our Web3 functions with our VR together in our standalone app. So everything, we're using Unity, of course, to create it, but we've actually developed our own like physics for certain aspects. We've developed.
Oh, that's cool. I like that.
Yeah, like just certain things that we're trying to get improvements on soon. Hopefully, Marrow is going, hopefully they will release their own physics engine that is like far superior than what Unity currently has available. And like if anybody does any XR VR development for Unity, then like they'll know the current physics that they offer is literally just a port of their existing game physics for VR. It's not like custom VR physics engine itself. So like no matter what you're doing in VR development, you come across something that like it just doesn't work right, and you have to end up writing your own physics for those individual assets, or trick the space somehow into making it behave like closer to the way it should. So there is no open source current available solution for XR developers that like is readily available that matches anything close to what it should. And the only way I can really explain it to people who aren't like familiar with what I'm really talking about as far as mechanics go, if you go into like VR experiences, you'll quickly figure out that like some of the more enjoyable ones really are like more stationary or ones that directly bend physics. Like everybody loves super hot. And then one of the reasons why you love super hot is because the way it makes you interact with the actual environment, the way it does, makes a lot of sense in your mind, actually like on a scientific level. So it makes it more comfortable and the immersion make more sense. And then like, like the Beat Sabers and stuff like that. The reason why those are comfortable and great immersion experiences is because it's a rhythm game that takes you out of like where you at the environment that you're in, which is a virtual environment. It just makes you dive deep into it and not you lose yourself in that experience. And you're actually stationary, like you're moving up and down side to side a little bit, but you're not actually like spatially moving. You're just within one spot. And all of the other interaction there is just like on one plane. So it's just like it's easier for your mind to really work with it. But once you go into stuff that like we're trying to do where you have open world environments and stuff, you really need to get like the finer details right and the movements right if you want it to be a really great experience. And like I'm not saying that like we're getting everything right, but we're really trying to work on like the stuff that we can improve on now before we go live to the public with everything. And we're really hoping that in the near future, there will be other available physics engines out there. And of course, if Unity will push out an update at some point in the next year. They've already like talked about it numerous times that's specified directly for VR development, but it's not available yet. So.
And you're hitting the nail on the head there when it comes to, like going that extra effort so players can really, really immerse themselves and it, makes sense. a lot of people don't understand how much that means. Like, I've even talked to people that are like, well, why are you going to this much effort for this or this? I say it's a game. The games are meant to be fun, and if you're preoccupied by a ball bouncing in a way that doesn't make sense for physics, then that's to not everyone, but to some people, that's going to really start like just taking away their that enjoyment factor. So all those little details, the attention to detail is awesome. Like, that's good.
Well, in VR, it'll make you sick. Like if you if you are doing something and something like doesn't interact the correct, like it's hard to explain because I'm not saying like it doesn't need everything doesn't need to be real world. You can bend physics in VR, but you need to know how to bend them properly because if you bend certain physics incorrectly, you end up developing like motion sickness and stuff like
that. Is that a thing? Okay, I did not know that. That's cool. Well, not cool, but that's interesting to know.
A good example is like anybody who has VR now, like or who gets it. Whenever you first get VR, just immediate first game you should try Pavlov VR or try Gorilla Tag. Try one of those two, just like as your first experience ever, and you would completely understand what I'm getting at and what I mean. It would. I can almost promise you would immediately like either just like vomit or pass out, just like immediately. Like it's your brain just tells you stop doing this to me, and
I feel like that's the least appealing thing ever. Like, hey, go get VR and then make yourself sick. Like, make yourself feel like crap.
It's true though. Like you have to be able to like work your way into it. So like whenever the thing I really tell people to do is like if you've never experienced VR, get a headset. Maybe try some like low key social experiences or watching a movie or just playing around with like big screen VR or Netflix, and then go from that into like a Beat Saber or a Super Hot is another good example. Something that makes you do some movements, but they're really like fairly localized. And maybe try like a roller coaster game next. Where you're not moving spatially, but the experience is moving spatially for you. That's like kind of pushing like the limits there, and you start to get some of that like weird experiences that you get whenever you're doing VR. And then even from there, go further and go into like your sports games like Echo VR, and then go even further and go into like your competitive shooting, like your first person shooters. And like, yeah, like the further and further you push it, the more you're doing things that like, and like there's already technology out there that like helps you counteract a lot of like the side effects of VR, but most people aren't going to have those and not know about those. Like, but there are hip trackers that allow you to track your hip movement. So you can, because something you don't think about, but whenever you have a headset on and you're using that as your tracking system for the room, wherever you're facing is where you're looking in VR. Well, that's not natural to what is like how your body actually operates. Like you can personally in real life, you can walk forward and look to the side. But in a lot of times in game experiences, because of the way the mechanics of the game are worked out, that's not possible. It's not possible for you to look one way and walk a different way in VR in most cases, unless you add another layer of tracking. And that's something like hip tracking, to where it could allow you to orientate your hips and your face separately. So then you could face your body one direction and your face a different direction, and then control your movement individually.
Yeah, I like that. That's awesome. It's funny because VR, it's more widespread. I've found than I originally thought. And I went down to my parents' place the other day, and my dad has a VR set. I'm like, what? Why? And he said, I don't know. It sounds cool. And that's just kind of I like that. You know what I mean? The widespread adoption. So I just got a message from one of my devs has COVID. Hope he's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think the VR community, like some of the guys like me that have been doing it for a long time, are still kind of upset that it's still not taken off like even harder than it has already. But I think that's just because we're caught up in it. It has taken off so well, but it's already had so much adoption. and it's getting bigger all the time. We still do need like higher end quality AAA titles. That's just honestly not going to come right now with this generation of hardware. But we already know that like that next generation of hardware is right around the corner. And some of the things that we'll see that the Cambria from Oculus will be able to do looks pretty impressive. They're integrating TensorFlow directly into the Cambria. So and full color pass through. So you'll actually get to experience high end XR or sorry, yeah, high end AR and XR experiences, which is really, really cool.
So where do you in 5 years' time, where do you see VR the space, and where do you see yourself? You know, where does MetaCaptain end up in the space?
Well, MetaCaptain will probably always be somewhat tied directly to just crypto in general. But hopefully NBC within itself takes off and becomes much larger than just a cryptocurrency company, and we are able to really build on our actual VR services. And I because I right now like we're just starting to like kind of do like early contract work for like enterprise level development, and like the fact that we have so much interest in that field is surprising because we haven't shown a lot of people a lot of stuff, but people just keep on being like, it's okay, we just want to toss a lot of money at you. We know like that this is the future, so we know that like there's a lot of corporations and municipalities that are highly interested in it, so we know adoption is coming at an even higher rate. I'm just glad that we're positioned where we are, that we're even given an opportunity to provide like development services. I think we'll probably all end up within 5 years. Like 5 years from now is I think when we see the transition to like full mixed reality adoption. I think VR will always exist like long term in a niche community. But I think like the full like everybody getting down and everybody really using stuff and really being happy about it is probably about 5 years down the road from now, and will be just plain mixed reality all the time. So it'll just be regular glasses that everybody's wearing, maybe even contacts like a few years later down the road, but definitely something along those lines. I think if I remember correctly, I think it's expected that Apple's release is in 2023 of their like mixed reality glasses. So that'll be interesting. And like I don't know. We'll see. The tech is moving so quickly, like even for us within like our own little space. Like I was just talking about Unity. So they have like separate render engine offerings for Unity. If anybody here knows about that development, they know what I'm talking about. And they actually like within the past like month, they have updated their VR support and XR support twice to like match what the current like industry standard for open source development really is, as far as like what we all wanted to see. They actually like pushed 2 updates back to back, which is just fucking unheard of from Unity, specifically to support what people were calling for, what they wanted supported. So you know that there are a lot of like, you know, there's more and more people paying more and more attention to like what's actually happening on the ground level of development. And like from just the past year, from what I've seen happen as far as like industry issues that we had as far as compatibility goes between not just platforms but hardware, services, everything. A lot of that bridging has happened within the last like 6 months, 7 months, that is really, really inspiring to like the higher level dreams that I've always had, where there will be an opportunity for actual mass adoption because of some of the stuff that's happened recently. And I'm sorry I'm talking so much word salad here, but what I mean is like there's certain standards that people take for granted whenever they're developing other things because we're all just like suckered into them like in time. Like anybody could go to a website, like if once you've built one website for one person, you can like almost build a website for anybody as long as you're working like, you know, HTML, CSS, stuff like that, as long as you're not actually doing any like PHP and then whatever. And even if you had to, you'd figure it out. But like just the base languages for VR development haven't even like formulated a coalition until very, very recently. And now we're starting to get other things like rendering standards, like hardware standard specifications across the board. Just avatar import standards. So now that like no matter what platform you go from one to the other, you're actually using the exact same specifications for like those avatars. So they will look the exact same way from game to game, from experience to experience. You can carry that from platform to platform from hardware to hardware. Obviously, depending on what you know your hardware supports, is whether or not like it'll actually be rendered. We can talk about that later. But point is, like these are things that like have had to have happened for years and years now that haven't happened. That all of a sudden are just really coming together very, very quickly, and it's inspiring. I'm sorry I carried on for so long.
No, that's fine. Just a quick side note for 1 second. Are you there, Brennan? If he's there.
Yes. Hello. Can
Are you
we
okay?
hear me?
Are you okay? Are you dying? You have COVID.
I'm not sure if I have COVID yet, but I've tested and hope we'll get a result back soon. But I am dying. I'm feeling pretty
And
shit.
your partner's parents you've spent 3 days with have COVID.
Yeah, they've tested positive.
You've got COVID.
More than likely, yeah.
Stay away from my house, please. You can work remote now. Sorry to do that mid AMA, but I was a little concerned, but I just wanted to check. So you're okay at the moment. You're not breathing bad or anything like that, are you?
I've got a bit of a spicy cough and like labored breathing, but other than that, I'm pretty fine.
Okay, just everyone to know that if Brennan dies, there might be a slight delay on the launch. We here at Crypto Villages, we don't mourn the dead, we keep going, but there might be a slight delay as we replace him. No, I'm kidding. Just totally kidding.
Right, I'm easily replaced.
Hey, Solji.
I was just going to ask, and what if that happens to you?
We
will have a delay too?
I am a man who can never die from the community. If anyone watches Community.
If you die, I will remember that. You said you were not going to die.
I'll be fine because I don't leave the house. Although I'm going to America in 2 weeks' time for 2 weeks to meet up with I'll be working the whole time, but I'm meeting up with some current investors and some new investors. We have a side project that's like getting linked into Crypto Villages.
Just for the record, when you say America, you refer to USA, North America.
Yes.
Remember that there is like a whole other countries over there that they are
until this project
America?
I did not know about. Until this project, I did not know about South America. I did not know it existed. It was just to me there was America and there was London and there was Australia. That's all I really knew of.
Oh Jesus!
Australia's made up though.
Yeah. Oh yeah. If you're a flat earther, this is true. If you believe in the flat Earth, Australia doesn't exist, and we're all FBI agents designed to trick you people. Just so you know.
Okay.
No, that's actually true because in the flat Earth model, Australia doesn't fit onto a map, so it can't exist in their mind. So the only logical conclusion is we're all sleeper agents designed to like trick people in the most useless thing possible. Because if the world was flat, who cares? You know, as far as conspiracy theories go, that's kind of like a non sequitur. But anyway, I digress. I was going to ask Meta, like, with the VR side of things as well, I've noticed more and more that industry is using it to train their staff. You know, whether it be like surgeons or or learning to use a new piece of equipment or a tool, that type of thing. It always the hardest questions I have are when people ask me like left field things like, have you looked into that type of stuff? Because I'm like, no, I have a niche area, but do you like, is it getting bigger, like that side of things from your perspective?
I mean, I don't know if it's getting bigger or if it's just like always been. Before I did this project, like me and our lead VR dev, we like had another project for Mercedes-Benz designing like their conveyor systems within their automotive plants through augmented reality. So we like essentially what we did was we took all their track pieces for their power and free conveyor system, and we were able to like scan those into a program that we built that allowed us to lay out the track within like the plant itself and allow them to view everything like live time, modify their specifications, and then like view like different optimal running routes and stuff like that, run different simulations, like all from tablets and phones. So it was like, and that was done like well before I started this project. So it's something that I know even from a firsthand experience that it's an enterprise and industrial application is widely available. I know that the NASA and the Air Force both train with the actual Oculus Quest 2 headsets. That's what they currently use as their like VR supplement for like spacecraft training and stuff like that.
Yeah, gotcha. Because even our Unity guys, they beforehand had done a VR project, teaching. I think it was something to do with they're operating a like a conveyor belt or something. It was for staff to learn. So, a new staff member joins whatever organization they were working with, and then they use the VR to learn the basics of how the machine works, and they in real time they get to use that machine, watch how it would operate in VR, and then so when they start their job, they've had that. Obviously, real world experience is important, but they've had that, at least that base level exposure to that particular machine.
Yeah, I don't know if this is true or not, but I feel like I remember hearing that like right now, currently, if you're gonna operate the like one of the large robotic arms on the International Space Station, you're actually doing that with a Oculus Quest 2 headset on as your viewer. So like that's the camera view that they use for the first person experience of that arm.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, and it makes sense too because you want people to have that, that exposure. Otherwise, especially in something so important that if it messes up, it's not just go out the backyard and fix it type thing. It's significant.
Yeah. All right. I do apologize. I'm actually going to cut this short. I have a meeting that I'm 8 minutes late for.
Oh, okay, no problem. Cool. Well, thanks for the chat. Anyway, I like the informal ones that are a bit of fun.
So do I.
The only thing that always tortures me is I have to wake up. Like I woke up about 10 minutes beforehand, so I just got up and went, oh, okay, I've got an AMA to do. Okay, I guess I'll get up. So, so thanks for bearing with me at the start. But thanks, mate.
Hard to explain too, but like I think people, if like just chatting like this and just talking and just kind of shooting from the hip, the people that are listening, that are paying attention, they will get at least an understanding of who the person is, and sometimes that's more important than who or what the project is.
100%. Yeah. Sorry, we'll talk about that another time. Yeah.
Thank you guys for joining me. Have a good time.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for imparting your knowledge. Ciao.
Cheers. Thanks, guys. And thanks, Meta Group.
See you soon.
Bye bye.